Hey guys, Stay Patient here with this week's edition of the PSN update. Now this video is going to be a little bit rushed, I apologise for that. I haven't put the usual intro in and I'm not going to be on webcam today just because I want to try and keep the editing to a minimum once I've done this. I've kind of given myself a bit too much to do this weekend. As some of you know, I run a trophy service, which is my sort of day-to-day job. And obviously I haven't got work on all the time, but I had a lot of work on this weekend that I wanted to try and get done. I've not quite finished it yet, but I did end up finishing 5 platinums from start to finish yesterday, another 3 today, and at the same time I was recording footage for 1 or 2 of those games for guides that I'm planning on making. And today I've also been working on a new top 10 that I want to bring you guys that I've had in the pipeline for a week or so. And you know, I kind of wanted to still cover everything in this week's show, but try and minimize the amount of work that I had to put in after on editing and things like that, because usually I spend quite a lot of time editing my voice and making sure that the volume is even across the whole video, and sort of cutting out any, I mean, to be honest, I go as far as like cutting out my breaths and things like that. It's probably a bit overboard, to be honest. But you know, I like to sound good. I have health problems which kind of cause me to sound a bit crappy if I'm talking normally, so I like to edit my voice. So I apologise that I've not done that today, and like I say, I'm not going to be on the webcam or anything. I was actually planning on making this week's episode, you know, adding more to it. So I was going to, you know, add some trailers for the games that we talk about and things like that, but that's going to have to wait till next week, I'm afraid. But I still, you know, want to keep the show going, obviously. I've got a lot to do, but I'm here to cover all the new releases as usual. So we're going to dive straight into it. And we're here, obviously, on PSN Profiles. Now, the first game I've had a look at this week was Feist. I think that's how you pronounce it. This is quite a cool looking kind of 2D platformer. It reminds me a bit of the, what was it, Limbo, because it's got that kind of black and white aesthetic. I mean, obviously in the picture here you can see yellow, but there's a lot of kind of shadow, a lot of it's silhouette based. And you've got all these kind of little furry balls, basically. I don't know if they're hedgehogs or what, really. I didn't sort of intently watch the trailer properly. I had a glance at it and watched some, like, skip through it a bit. But I do recommend having a look at it if you like your 2D platformers. Take a look at the trailer. This is Feist. Now, I look through the trophies. We've got quite a few sort of miscellaneous trophies that you can't really understand until you've played the game, I suppose, and I've not played it, so I can't really explain anything about them. But as you get further down, you'll notice about halfway down, it changes to basically 2 large groups of trophies. It looks like you've got 10 missions or 10 levels, because you've got 10 trophies related to finishing each of the levels in a certain time. So basically a speed run of the game. And in this last section, you've got the 10 levels again, you've got to do them all without dying. So really there's nothing to go on when it comes to how difficult that might be, because the game's not out yet. So when it comes out, it does look kind of cool. I do suggest checking it out. We'll probably come back and take a look at it in maybe next week's episode, or you know, once the game has been released, we'll take a look at the trophies and see how difficult the game looks like it might be. But it does look like something worth at least having on your radar if you like those kinds of games. Not everyone does, but I'm going to keep an eye on it. Looks pretty cool. There's a couple of games that I was going to focus on today. This one, Mantis Burn Racing, that was on the site last week and it's still not released. It's been up on PSN Profiles for over a week now. And it's, yeah, the game's not out yet. It's been out on PC for a while because I had a look at it just to see what kind of game it was. And it's kind of like a top-down, or like kind of an angled view, but basically a top-down like off-road racing game. It kind of made me think of MotorStorm RC and the old Micro Machines games back on the previous PlayStation consoles. I think it was Micro Machines V3 was the one I had. I can't remember if that was PS1 or PS2. But they were quite cool, and it does look really good. The graphics on it, although it's a top-down game, it's not 2D. It kind of looks semi-2D, I suppose, but the graphics are really good, really polished, and it's got really good reviews on PC, so I'm actually looking forward to that. I'm not sure if I have time to play it because I've got a backlog of like 1,000 games now, but it looks cool. If it's like a quick enough platinum, I don't really mind if it's particularly, or if it's like difficult to a certain degree. Obviously, if it's like near impossible, then I'll probably pass on it, but if it's got a level of difficulty, I'm fine with that because I enjoy racing games. I'm pretty good at them. I kind of scanned through the trophies, but to be honest, with games like this, you really can't tell how difficult it's going to be. There are a lot of trophies that look like just things that will happen, like airborne and leveling up, just getting money, you know, weekly challenges, completing seasons, but I haven't taken a proper look at each individual trophy because there's not really a lot of point at this stage. Until the game's out, until we know how difficult the game is. I could have taken a look, obviously, at the PC version and the feedback that people have given on that, but like I say, I've been so swamped this weekend, I just haven't had the time. You know, but it just makes sense to wait until the game does release, and then if it's cheap enough, I might just buy a copy before I know anything about it, and just play it on a blank account. That way, at least I can kind of talk to you guys next week about it when I've got a bit more time to focus more on these games. We can cover it a bit. I can give you my impressions of it if I do get a chance to play it, that is. But I don't know when it's out yet. When I've looked and searched Google for the release date, it just says coming soon on PS4 and Xbox One. So it might be a few weeks away, who knows. Sometimes they do that, a bit like with Mafia 3. They put the trophies up ages before the game was out, like a month or 5 weeks or something. So if we carry on taking a look here, where did we get to? Yeah, Mantis Burn Racing, we got some Japanese games. Origami is something that I didn't actually... Oh, this is out. Okay, what is Origami? Oh, okay, like some kind of ninja-based game. Maybe it's got some link with paper, paper folding. Which trophy is it that no one's got? I'm guessing it may be glitched. Yeah, if you look at this, I'm not sure how long the game's been out because this is new to me. I didn't even see this when I was scanning the trophy, you know, the list of games before recording. But you've got 35 people own it, and these trophies: perform a ledge kill and destroy a light orb for the first time. It looks very much to me like those must be glitched because in a game like this, I can only assume you would perform a bunch of ledge kills. You know, if people have earned 21% on average, and you know there's a decent amount of progress in it. Level 3, level 4, a third of the people have completed the 4th level, and yeah, it looks like people are making their way through the game pretty well. Only one person is, or well, only a certain number of people have completed it. 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So those who have got past mission 5, all of them have completed the next 5 missions. Anyway, that's just me going off on some random mathematical, I don't know what you call it, ramblings, I guess. Yeah, so it looks like this must have some glitch trophies. I'm not going to look on pstrophies.org simply because I don't think there'll be any feedback for it yet. With only 35 people playing it, I don't think there's going to be enough on it. But it's, you know, it's not a standout title necessarily. I'll keep an eye on it. We'll have a look next week, see if there's anything more to go on. Darkest Dungeon, that was here last week, and I think, yeah, Origami must have been here last week as well, because they're in order, aren't they? So Darkest Dungeon, yeah, that's going to be quite difficult. You can see almost 1,000 people playing it, 12% average completion. No one's platted it yet. This is going to be a difficult game. Yeah, look at that, man. Loads of trophies not earned yet, and it's been out for, I think, probably a week now. I'm not sure. That might be a load of rubbish, but it's been out for a few days, I think. Pardon me. Okay, so let's keep going. Now we've got this game Royce, that was on there last week, I think. Yeah, it was. And I didn't know anything about it, and it's still not out, so we're just going to give it a bit of time. Another one that kind of looks like Yeah, I remember looking at this picture actually and saying it looks like it could be one of those easy platinums. Completing developments, finish a 60-minute era with at most 4 non. Oh, I'm not even gonna. I'm not even gonna read them. It won't make any sense at this moment in time. But yeah, another one to check up on later. It's a bit annoying that they released the trophy list for these games so early. It's quite nice to have them announced. They should sort of tweet the trophy list so that we can look at them. So if there's a big game you've been waiting for ages, you could take a look and see what's going to be involved in it. But they shouldn't add them to this site so soon because, like I've said before in previous episodes, the games just disappear off the bottom of this most recent releases list. And I mean, it's not just annoying for us trying to look at the games that are coming out, but you know, it kind of affects the sales of the game, I'm sure, as well, because you know, you bring something like Royce out. Now, people do come to psnprofiles.com to check out what games are coming up and what games have come out recently, especially trophy hunters. So if they came on here and Royce was added the day before it was released, and then a bunch of people played it and it had like a 50% average completion rating and a load of people had earned the platinum, then pardon me, then people would buy it off the back of that. If it's a cheap enough game and if it's a nice, easy, quick, enjoyable platinum, then they would get sales off the back of that. But now they've added it, and by the time the game's released, it will no longer appear on this list. It will still be on the site, but you'd need to actively be searching for it to show up. So I think they're kind of shooting themselves in the foot a bit there. All these developers who add the games to this site too early. Anyway, we've got FIFA. FIFA's going to be very difficult to get any feedback on this site because so many people buy it and a lot of non-trophy hunters buy it as well. And I know this site is mostly occupied by trophy hunters. There's not a huge amount of non-trophy hunters on here, but there are still a lot of people who don't necessarily go for every single trophy in every game they play. So, I mean, there's 6,000 people. FIFA's only just come out. There's 6,000 people that use this site that are playing FIFA 17. It's got a low completion percentage because most of those people will just be playing it for fun and they won't be going for the trophies. So it's very difficult to kind of gauge how difficult or how long they might be based on any of the kind of statistics on here. So it's really a case of waiting. In fact, what I might do is just have a look and see if anyone has... Oh, sorry, I'm zoomed in a bit too much there. I've got this computer. Yeah, I've got the computer linked up to my 42-inch screen next to my main gaming screen. And because I sit back on the settee, I have it zoomed right in so I can see what's going on. Do you remember we said last week there was like an extra trophy in the PS3 version for the training section? And I think that's probably because the training is probably different on the new version because you've got like that new career mode. But yeah, we'll just have a look and see. All right, we've already got a trophy guide up. Now, there's no knowing, until it's been sticky, there's no knowing how reliable it is. But it looks pretty much the same as usual, 5 out of 10, online skill dependent. So in other words, I'm guessing the people who write the guides for FIFA are usually people who are quite familiar with the game and play it quite a bit. So if it's a 5 out of 10 for them, then it's probably going to be higher for those of us who don't play a lot of FIFA. I do play it, but only multiplayer with friends. I don't, you know, I've still got FIFA 14 as my main FIFA, which, to be fair, is like the best FIFA of the last few years anyway. But like I earned the trophies for that when it first came out, and then I've just kept it, and I just keep playing that with friends probably once every couple of months. You know, it's not very often. So I wouldn't be any good online. I'd get totally slaughtered, and I found that, you know, I struggled with the trophies on FIFA 14 when I first played it. So it looks as though it's very much business as usual for FIFA. Online skill required, time requirement about the same as usual, 25 to 35 hours. I do wish they would just bring out a FIFA where you can play online. They've got all the FIFA Ultimate Team and everything. but you don't have to for the trophies. And, you know, sometimes they have really luck-based trophies as well. So it'd be nice if they left them out, left the online stuff out, and just allowed you to kind of play career and play with friends and that. But that's probably a pipe dream, unfortunately. XCOM 2, I thought would have had more players because it's a big release, but I suppose there's so many games coming out around this time, like Rise of the Tomb Raider, which is out is out in 8 days. I think that's, oh, are we on, yeah, we're on the UK. This is releases.com. This is pretty cool for like checking when games are out, and it gives you like a calendar so you can look through and be reminded of games you may have forgotten about. But it looks like we've got 8 days to go, which is October the 11th. That'll be, is that a Tuesday? So it looks like some people are getting it early, and they may be reviewers, they may be people who work, who have worked on the game. Let's have a look actually, see if I recognize any of their names. If I do, oh no, wrong. Let's have a look, leaderboard. So we've got 8 people playing it. Quite often I do recognize people on these lists, but I don't seem to this time, so I'm not going to bother messaging them or anything, I don't think, just because I'm just going to wait for my copy. And I may be doing some guides. In fact, I'd be interested to hear back from you guys as to whether you would like me to do some guides for Tomb Raider, because of course there are tons of guides up already because the game's already out on Xbox. But I've had some people request guides from me. They've said they're hoping that I'll do guides because they prefer mine, which is really nice of them. But if there's enough of you who would particularly like me to do guides for the trophies in the game, then I'll try and find time for it. I can't promise anything because I'm kind of working on some full playthrough guides for some of the easy platinums that have come out this year, as well as the top 10 videos and stuff. And there's so many games coming out. I'm kind of going to just play the ones that come out and see which ones I particularly feel like I can offer assistance for, if that makes sense. You know, if I'm particularly good at a game, or if I earn trophies that I think are quite difficult but find easier ways of getting them, then I'll put up guides for those. But yeah, let me know if you would enjoy a playlist of trophy guides for Rise of the Tomb Raider, because as you can see, it has 125 trophies. Now, I don't think all of them existed in the Xbox version, even with the DLC, because I think there's been new DLC added for this like 20th year anniversary or whatever it's called. So if we look at it, we've got the base game here, which has 66 trophies. Even that's a lot, and obviously they're low value because almost every game has, well, yeah, basically every game has around the same amount of PSN points. So in this case, we've got 1,230. It's usually between 1,100 and like 1,250. So this has got the usual number of points, but because it's got so many trophies, obviously a lot of them are bronze, because otherwise it will be above the usual value. We're not going to look through all these because obviously the game's been out for like a year or whatever. But we've got the base game, then we've got Endurance. And I'm not sure which of these, I think Baba Yaga, that was available on the Xbox. I'm pretty sure of that. I don't think Endurance was. I apologise that I'm not 100% sure on that. Cold Darkness and Croft Manor, Endurance Co-op. Oh, maybe it's the Endurance Co-op that wasn't on Xbox. I'm not entirely sure, guys, and I do apologise for that. But it's going to be a great game. And I'm glad that they're bringing it to PlayStation because it brings it to the attention of a lot more people. Obviously, more people have a PS4 than an Xbox One at the moment, at least. Maybe that will shift in a year or so's time when the Scorpio comes out. But we'll see. Anyway, it looks cool, a ton of trophies. If you look at it, 2,190 points. That's almost enough to fund or to equal 2 full platinums. So a platinum's like 11 to 1,200 roughly. This is 2,200 basically. So it's basically the equivalent of 2 full platinums, which is pretty cool. Like if you do all the trophies in the game, I'm sure it's not going to be like epically long, but I think it is longer than the previous Tomb Raider, which could be sort of platted. Apart from the online, you could earn all the single player trophies on the first Tomb Raider, or the first reboot of Tomb Raider, in about 8 hours, and then you could do the online in about 10 or 15. So it was a pretty quick platinum, to be honest. And I think this is longer, but I don't see it being like absolutely ages, hundreds of hours, anything like that. Getting out of breath here. So we've got WRC 6 coming out. I've literally still got my copy of WRC 5 on the shelf, still wrapped up in its cellophane. So that's one of those games that I'll wait until it's very cheap and then buy it and plat it. Because the WRC games, they are easy platinums. Obviously, if you're not used to racing games, then you're going to find any racing game difficult. But they generally, as racing games go, the WRC games are very easy plat. So you can turn the difficulty down, and you can turn on all the assists and everything. And they're kind of fun. They're not up there with the Dirt games, or like, for instance, we had Dirt Rally this year, which I still haven't played, but looks amazing. And so, yeah, I mean, they're not amazing games, the WRC ones, but they're worth playing if you're a racing game fan, and if you've got like a racing wheel like me, it makes it that much more fun. I'm not going to look through the trophies because I know based on past experience that it will be pretty easy. Now, this is where we get to the interesting section of this week. I'm not going to look at these games too much, but you'll notice that we're starting to get the VR trophy sets added to the site. So you may have heard about Super Hypercube, which actually looks and sounds really interesting. It's one of the VR games, and basically you're kind of, it's a bit like that game show. I forget the name of it. It's on TV. It's not Takeshi's Castle, I don't think. It's the one where the guys have to kind of make a shape and fit through a hole in the wall that's kind of moving towards them. Now, if you've seen the show, you'll know what I mean straight away. If you don't know what I mean, then it's probably because you haven't ever seen it. But this is basically the same kind of principle, except rather than you fitting through the wall, you have to move a block around. And obviously it's a bit like a puzzle piece. You have to spin it and move it so that as the wall reaches you, it can move through the hole that matches the shape of the block. But the interesting thing is, because it's VR, the blocks get bigger and bigger to the point where you have to like look around. You have to move your head and look around the block and kind of move the block out of the way if you can, and just try and peer around it to see which angle you need it at to get it through the wall. And it just sounds really interesting. It's a bit of a shame it hasn't got a platinum, because it's one of the games that I'm interested in for VR. PlayStation VR Worlds, I'm guessing I think that's coming free with the VR headset. That's a bit like how you got the, what was the game on PS4? I forget what it's called now, but there was a game that came with the PS4, I think. It was like a free download. I think it's the one that's always there, you can't delete it. And it's a bit like the, on Vita, you've got something similar. It's like it's basically a game that teaches you the features of the Vita, and it was the same with the PS4. Oh man, I can't for the life of me think what it's called. Someone will remind me in the comments. Anyway, the whole idea of that free game on PS4 was to teach you the new controller with the touchpad and everything. So I'm guessing that PlayStation VR Worlds is the same thing. It's like teaching you how to use VR, but it does have a platinum. So I'm going to just double check. VR Worlds free. Hang on, VR Worlds free. Is that what we're after? PlayStation, let's have a look. Oh, Playroom, that's the game, that's the PS4 game, Playroom. So, is it free? Where's the price? It doesn't tell us. So is this like a PSVR bundle, 5 games in one? And included? Oh, maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's Playroom VR that comes with it. Oh, yes, it comes with it. Okay, cool. So yeah. All right. Sorry, I didn't check this out beforehand, guys. As I've explained, I'm just swamped at the moment. But PlayStation VR's VR Worlds comes free with the VR headset, and then you can download free Playroom VR for free as well. Now, I'm not going to cover these games too much because I know most of you watching this won't be buying VR. I am, so I am interested in these, and I'll take a look at them in my own time and figure out which ones I want to buy, if any. I think it's going to take a while for VR to get going, but I want to have them available because obviously running a trophy service, a lot of my customers won't have VR. So if they're trying to level up quickly, then having, myself being able to access the VR games will benefit them because they'll be able to get those platinum trophies without having to own the games or the VR themselves. So that's why I'm buying it. I can rent most of these games. I'm not going to buy any, I don't think, because there's nothing really that stands out. I think it's going to take a while to really take off, but we've got obviously Until Dawn, Rush of Blood, that's VR. We've got Tumble VR, Batman Arkham VR. That's probably the only one that kind of interests me, but there's no Platinum Man, so it might be a rental. I can't really justify buying games for full price when I'm only going to get a few trophies out of it. But yeah, there's quite a few VR releases there. And if we keep scrolling up, you'll notice that we have the Atari Flashback Classics coming to PS4 and Vita. Now, I never really played much Atari, but so looking through this list, obviously most of them are going to refer to specific games, and that means nothing to me. But it's cool playing old games, even if you've never played them, even if you didn't experience them back in the day. It still brings back nostalgic memories because it kind of reminds you of games you did play. So that might be interesting. And Wheels of Aurelia is something that... Oh, wow, is that it? Let's have a look, see if this picture... It looked like it was going through a slideshow, but I don't think it does on this site, does it? Yeah, I'm going to kind of just leave that for next week because super busy and it would take a bit of research. I don't really want to be researching while you guys are watching. It just make the whole thing boring. But King's Quest, the Complete Collection. This is quite an interesting game because, I don't know if you remember this, but episode 1 came out ages and ages ago. And I think it was free maybe. And then everyone was waiting for episodes 2 and 3. And I think 4 and 5. I think it goes up to, I think it's 5 episodes. No, 4 episodes. And everyone waited and waited. And then literally, I think it was years later, they still hadn't arrived. It was just like the first episode and that was it. But then I think at some point this year, they did actually suddenly release all the rest of the episodes. And so it doesn't have a platinum, but it does have a lot of trophies. Obviously, that's all 4 of them. So I'm guessing, what's that divided by 4? That's 390. That's like 195 points per episode. So I suppose that sounds about right, because often DLCs are around 195. Although it's been split up quite strangely here. You can see it's 285 points with 17 trophies on the base game, and then episodes 2, 3, and 4 have less points and less trophies. So I think they must have kind of just, I don't know, bungled this out, kind of just stumbled along with the development and not really planned it very well, because usually when you have an episodic game, it will have the same amount of trophies, the same amount of trophy points for each episode, and then it kind of all comes together, and it might have a platinum like The Walking Dead Series 1, or it might not have a platinum like The Walking Dead Series 2. But this seems kind of odd, and this is on top of King's Quest. Look, so we've already got King's Quest, and this is the one they finally released the final episodes for. And then they've re-released it as a complete collection. But surely that's what this is. This is all 4 episodes. So I'm not sure why there's separate trophy sets for both. And I'm not sure why they both exist in the first place. But it's very odd. I think it's meant to be an easy trophy set. But 780 points, that's like almost 2/3 of a platinum. So yeah, it might be worth it, but I mean, you can always just buy the original version, all 4 episodes. Yeah, it kind of confuses me a bit, that one. Anyway, this is the best news, even though we've had some like big interesting games to talk about, like Tomb Raider and stuff. This is the best news this week, and that is that Jazzpunk has got a second trophy list on here, which I'm assuming is the European version. Now, I'm actually in the middle of making. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to mention that because I'll leave it as a surprise for you guys. But yeah, Jazzpunk was out on the US store, and I bought a copy because you couldn't buy it in Europe or in the UK. But I've just come on today, and obviously there's a second version of it. So not only is it available in Europe, but the 2 versions have separate trophy lists. So it's like super quick and easy. I've done this platinum twice over the weekend, once on my account and once on the customer's, and it's so quick and easy. I mean, it took me a few hours because I was recording footage and I was doing like one mission on the customer's account and then going to my account so that it was fresh in my memory. I was recording all the trophies one by one, and you know, obviously that meant it all dragged out. But if you play the game through, and if you use my trophy guide, which is going to be out very soon, it's not up yet, unless you're watching this video later on, obviously, but on the day of me uploading this video, the guide is still being worked on. So that's what I'm going to carry on once I've caught up with work. I'm going to kind of keep going with that trophy guide. That's my next video that's going to be up, hopefully. So check that out when, you know, if you do come around to buying the game. It can literally be platted in an hour, in just 1 hour. It's really good. It's a really good game. It's worth buying. It's not like one of those crappy games that you just end up playing just for the trophies and then wish you hadn't bothered. You know, you end up wanting to tear your own eyes out. This is actually cool. It's funny. It's crazy. It's published by Adult Swim, and they're the guys who brought us Rick and Morty and some of the other like crazy comedies. If you haven't seen Rick and Morty, check it out. It's just absolutely hilarious. But oh, it's decided to research for me. Yeah, so it's like really funny. It's really surreal and crazy, and it's one of those games that you can just blitz through and earn the platinum. All the trophies are missable, so you do have to do extra things. It's not just a case of finishing the game. But to be fair, you could finish the game in minutes, because you could just run straight to the objective and do it. But the whole point of the game is to explore around and speak to people and find the funny kind of interactions and side missions and stuff. And like I say, it's an hour long, super easy, super quick. You'll probably find yourself wanting to spend more time with it than an hour, because it's just crazy and it's just really cool. So there you go, guys. I'm going to kind of move on because, like I say, I've got tons to do. I hope this video has been at least watchable for you guys. I'm sorry if I'm shouting into the mic. I kind of tend to do that. I've deliberately spoken quite loud during this video because, like I say, I'm not going to be doing any editing. Usually I'd speak at my normal volume and then I'd edit the volume later to make sure it was audible across all your devices and things like that. But because I'm not doing that, I decided to just kind of speak loud, and then I don't have to worry about adjusting all the frequencies and stuff later on. But I hope you can forgive me for the rushed nature of this video, and hopefully it'll become worth your while when you sort of get round to watching the content that will hopefully be up this week, everything that I'm working hard on over the weekend and over the next few days. Hopefully it will help you guys out. There were 3 games last week. Pardon me. There were 3 games that we spoke about that were super easy platinums. Jazzpunk was one of them, which now obviously has 2 platinums as soon as the game actually releases. It's not actually on the store yet, on the European store, but it hopefully will be soon. And I am keeping my fingers crossed that it is the European version and not some obscure kind of version in Asia somewhere. But yeah, that was one of them last week. The other one was Virginia, and the other one was The Bunker. Now, I already have a guide up for The Bunker, so if you've missed that this week and you are wanting to plat that game, I've made a spoiler-free video guide for all the trophies, so jump on that because it's a really story-heavy game. You don't want to have it spoiled for you, but you can still earn all the trophies in one playthrough without having the story spoiled. So if you check out my guide, it's only like 13 minutes long. I literally just show you what you need to do for each trophy in the order that you need to do it. And I don't have any subtitles on screen. I don't have any sound on, so nothing will get ruined for you when it comes to the story unfolding. So have a look at that. I'm working, like I said, on a jazz punk guide. That will be nice and snappy, just kind of to the point. And I'm hoping that I'm going to get time to also work on a guide for Virginia, because that's another game I'm doing for one of my trophy customers and for myself. So when I do the second playthrough, I'm going to kind of memorize everything, and I'm going to try and get a concise guide for you guys with commentary, hopefully, so that it makes it nice and easy for you to whiz through that one as well. Whew, so, keep your eye out for those videos, guys. The bunker one's already up, but keep your eye out for the rest. And there you go. Thank you very much for watching. Once again, sorry that this has been so rushed. Hopefully we'll have a bit of a better video next week with some in-game footage and a bit more research on my part. But thanks for the ongoing support, guys. Have a great week, and I'll catch you very soon. Bye for now.